Ask any group of fantasy fans who writes the best characters in fantasy, and I guarantee you at least one person in every group will say Robin Hobb, and that is because she wrote the Farseer Trilogy, beginning with Assassin's Apprentice, and she is known for just how well she crafts her characters, how natural they feel, how real they feel. She's even described her writing as she just kind of lets the characters do what they're going to do, and then she follows. I'm somebody that's big on character work in writing in general, but I wasn't always that way. In fact, it was the Farseer Trilogy, the Realm of the Elderlings series in general, that really made me realize how much I cared about characters. And it wasn't an easy lesson either. I struggled at first with Hobb's writing. It took me a while to really get the pacing of what she does. She doesn't plot things in a way that you would expect. She does use tropes that you would recognize in various stories, but she, again, lets the characters do what they should be doing naturally. And because of that, it doesn't go the way that you would think, because the plot is not dictating what the characters are doing, and the characters were not built or designed for the plot. It's really a character first thing, but the world still exists as a separate entity, but the characters are influencing the world, but the characters are influenced by the world. And it's just this weird cycle of, I don't even know where it started. I can't see the seams of Robin Hobb's writing. I don't know where she inserted herself because I can't see it at all. The world, the characters, the plot, it's all feeding off of each other, and it's just, I can't see the beginning of this. It just feels like it exists, and she is somehow just transcribing it to us. There's a lot to say about the characters, and I do plan to make a lot of videos to go over different aspects of the Realm of the Elderling series in more detail with spoilers. So if you're interested in that, keep on the lookout. But the thing about the Farseer Trilogy and Assassin's Apprentice is that it is not just about character work. As I said, there's also a lot of very interesting world building happening. The world that they exist in here in the Realm of the Elderlings is very, very intricate and has a lot of things happening at different places at different times. Even though it is such a focused story, it does feel real, it feels vast, and it feels interesting. Hobb also has amazing prose. As somebody that doesn't care too much for prose, I'll take a Sanderson, just workman-like prose any day, especially over something that's too flowery, that's going to get in the way and just distract me. I'm in for the plot, I'm in for the dialogue, I'm in for what's happening, and I have trouble visualizing things in books. So when there's way too much description, I'm just not into it. But Hobb has a way of just leading you along. Her books are not paced very briskly. They are paced in a way that makes sense for her writing and for her characters, but none of it would work without her prose. And I don't just mean that it's pretty, because it is, and it's full of just amazing quotes and different ways of describing things that just really get at the heart of what you're trying to visualize. But it's also in how she inhabits the characters. Fitz is the lead character. He is the one that is telling the story from a first-person perspective. In the Farseer Trilogy, it's him looking at the past, telling his story, and she is so good at giving that character a voice that makes sense and coloring everything that you see through the lens of that character. And then there's the plot. The thing about Hobb's writing, again, is that the pacing is not very fast. It just kind of goes, it floats, it just winds along a river, just going off in different directions, and you're never really sure which direction is the main direction anymore. You never really know where the story is going to go. It's not that kind of book. The book is not about any one thing or even any one plot. It's about these characters living in this world with these things happening. That's it. But it's fascinating. And every time you think you understand, oh, okay, that's what this book is. It's one of these. This is what's going to happen. It doesn't, because the characters feel differently and they act differently, and they all have their own individual wills and ideas and plans that get in the way of what a normal plot would be. But the plot will always surprise you, the different twists and turns of where things go. In some ways, you'll feel like you saw it coming, but in other ways, you'll be like, I didn't think it would happen like that. And the caveat here is that it will not satisfy you in the same way that a conventional plot would, where you have your setup, your different tropes, your journey, and then there it is. Everything is resolved. There are still endings. There are still culminations. There are still avalanches of, oh my God. But despite all of this, despite the fact that the plot is slow, that the book is slow, it's incredibly engaging. I'm not sacrificing any amount of surface level enjoyment in order to receive something of such artistic merit, which is normally what happens. My favorite moments in Hobb's books are just when the characters are living out their lives in a regular way with just a bunch of different things they're juggling, and I'm just experiencing it. I don't know how else to describe this in a way that is appealing, because it doesn't necessarily sound appealing, but it is. It is so appealing. It's so good to read this. It's not like anything else that I've been able to read. There are things that come close. There are things that are Hobb-like, but nobody is able to craft a story in the same way. Nobody has all of the elements like she does that come together to create something so beautiful. You have to read this. You have to try it. It is not for everybody, but you have to try, because it wasn't for me when I first read this. It wasn't. It took me a long time to finish this book, Assassin's Apprentice. This book, it's not very big. It's not that long. It took me 3 months to finish, and that's long for me. And that's because I just didn't have a desire to continue with it. It wasn't a book for me at the time, but something about it kept me going, and so I kept going. And at some point, and I never even really understood when, I found myself crying reading these books at moments that weren't even overly emotional. I was just so attached, and I was like, when did this happen? I thought I didn't like these. And in the same way that these characters shape their environment and the environment shapes them, these books have shaped me and my tastes. And now on a reread, I'm reading Assassin's Apprentice, and it fits so perfectly into everything that I would want from a book. And it's almost like, well, yeah, that's because this book shaped my taste 5 years ago, and now it's just fulfilling what it taught me. It genuinely changed not only my taste in art, but who I am as a person. The whole idea of being frustrated with a character and being like, oh, this is so dumb. This person is so dumb and they're making bad decisions, but still caring about them. It did something to me. It taught me something about empathy and so many other things. I have so much to talk about in regard to this series, but first, you all have to read it. So please give it a try. Assassin's Apprentice by Robin Hobb. You have to read this. Thank you so much for watching. Please stay tuned for more videos on the Realm of the Elderlings series. I will be talking about all kinds of things. I want to go in depth on what makes this so good. What makes Hobb such a brilliant author? I really want to talk about it and go into detail and use specific examples with spoilers and everything. So stay tuned for that. I hope you're interested, because it's just going to be a project of mine for the next, I don't know how long. But thank you again. Spread the word on this. Make everyone read this book, and I'll see you next time.